Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for making your time to attend this presentation. I would also like to thank all the people who organized this event. Now, in the next 15 minutes, we will try to go through some information about Georgia and its economy, then Georgian banking sector, and finally some information about Tbc Bank. Now, regarding Georgia, many of you would know, but Georgia at a glance would be, it's a quite small country with a population of 4.5 million people, with the GDP of about 16 billion US dollar, and GDP per capita would be 3.5 thousand dollar. The currency rate is Georgian lari, which is about 1.65 versus US dollar, and it's been quite stable since its introduction. In terms of ratings, we have Fitch rating, it's BB-, it's BB- with Standard & Poor's, and it's Ba3 per Moody's. Now, in the bottom of the page, I tried to list kind of the several recent achievements of the government of the country of Georgia. And then in 2013, the country was named again as #1 reformer in the world by World Bank and IFC. The first time it was named, it received this award was 2010, and in 2013 report, IFC and World Bank basically named this again. We are #9 globally on ease of doing business. We are #4 in the friendliest tax regimes in the world, and there are some other achievements, such as quite good place in terms of the security of the city and fighting against corruption. Now this is some information about economy of Georgia, and it's been quite impressive last 3 years. The country was among top 4 growing economies in Europe. 2010 it grew by 6.4%, 2011 7.1%, and 2012 6.2%. Now, similarly, GDP per capita was growing, and in 2012 it basically reached the 3.5 thousand, as I mentioned. In terms of CPI or inflation, it's quite under control. Actually, last year it was negative, delivering -1.4%. Now, another good news about economy is that the GDP is quite well diversified, and you can see on the pie chart there that there is no one industry that drives the development. We, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have oil or other mineral resources that could drive the development further. In terms of exchange rate, you can see the chart on the top left of the slide. It's quite stable since its introduction, actually about 20 years ago. Maximum it reached was 2.8 and minimum was 2.4. Probably this is the range where any stable currency would fluctuate under in the world, especially during those years. The budget deficit is 2.5%. It's better than expected. External debt to GDP is 28%, being considering to be quite prudent when we compare it to the other countries. And external debt service, it's 4% to budget. Now, this is some information about taxes in the country, and as I said, we have quite friendly tax regime. Number of taxes in the country, it's only 6. We don't have payroll taxes, capital gain taxes, wealth taxes, etc. Actually, our income tax is 20%, corporate tax is 15%, and those two would be the major taxes that are paid in the country. On the chart, in the left up of the slide, you see the tax revenue of the government. So reducing number of taxes and the tax rates did not result in reduced tax income. Actually, it resulted in increased tax income in the country. Now, this is last slide about Georgian economy in my presentation. This many people consider trade deficit as one of the biggest risks of Georgian economy, and you can see that it is the trade deficit is about $4.2 billion, which is obviously a high amount for Georgia. However, it is comfortably offset by the service sector, especially tourism, which is growing tremendously. Last year, growth number was 45%. Then we have remittances. These are the money that comes from Georgians living outside of Georgia, supporting their families and probably investing to some businesses. Then we have FDIs, which decreased a little bit last year, but was quite high the year before and historically, and then capitals and other inflows. And taking all this together into account, we see that the trade deficit is offset, and actually the National Bank of Georgia, which would be the Central Bank of Georgia, reserves are increasing year over year, and currently they are at their historical maximum. Now, I would like to go through the banking sector. First of all, what we need to say is that the sector is quite liberal, and it's quite open. And while we have international players, we have regional players, of course we have the Georgian players. Probably all the neighboring countries have established a presence here in Georgia through their subsidiaries or branches. Now you can see that we are number one in retail deposits. We have about 34% of market share. Number two is Bank of Georgia. This is the bank which is listed in London Stock Exchange as a premium listed company. We together with Bank of Georgia have about 55 to 65% of market shares, depending which metric we use to assess the market. Then we have ProCredit Bank. I'm sure you know this is the bank founded by IFIs, and this is the bank working across emerging markets, focusing on small and medium-sized businesses. We have SocGen's local subsidiary, we have Russia's VTB subsidiary, Ukrainian private bank, Core Standard Bank, which is given there, it's the bank majority owned by Abu Dhabi royal family. And then in the bottom of the page, we tried to show kind of the well-respected, well-recognized names in the world investing or supporting the Georgian banking sector. In terms of where is the target? Okay, here we go. In terms of growth rate, the banking sector grew about 18 to 20% per year. You can see that the growth similarly comes from deposits and loans, and the local deposits actually finance the growth in loans. Now, one more thing that differentiates Georgian economy, Georgian banking sector from peer countries is this very strict local regulation, and this strict local regulation is towards capital and liquidity. You can see that even the locally defined capital adequacy ratio, it's averagely about 17.7%. If you translate it to Basel, then you will have about 25%. Similarly, the liquidity, I mean, 57% of local deposits are in liquid assets, which is a very, very high metric. And finally, on the Georgian banking sector, here we try to compare the banking sector across the peer countries. And first of all, the chart on the right top shows the growth opportunity of the banking sector. And if we take the loan to GDP ratio, it's at 32%, and it's very low. I mean, even if you to reach the Turkey's level of loan to GDP ratio, and Turkey is widely believed to be under-penetrated banking market, then the Georgian banking sector has the potential to double its assets without GDP increase. And when GDP itself is growing, then this room basically is further extended. On the other hand, the impaired loans to assets to loans and the coverage ratio is one of the highest, and as I said, the equity to assets is the highest. So basically, to summarize this slide, it basically says that there is a huge opportunity to growth, and the current fundamentals are quite prudent to kind of capture this growth. Now about Tbc Bank. This slide kind of summarizes the important points about Tbc Bank. In terms of size, we are 2.3 billion in dollars in assets, 1.4 billion in dollars in loans and in deposits, having the loan to deposits at 100%, which is widely believed to be quite prudent nowadays. The equity is $380 million. In terms of ratings, Fitch rating, it's BB-, Moody's, it's Ba3. Now, our shareholder structure is quite unique. You can see that 55% of our shares belong to IFIs. It's EBRD has 20%, IFC 20%, FMO, which is Dutch IFI, they have about 5%, and DEG, which is owned by KfW, they own 11.5%. We have JP Morgan and Ashmore, they have 9% together. 26% belongs to two individuals who founded the bank about 20 years ago, and the remaining 7% belongs to management and other. Some other numbers, we have 110 branches, 284 ATMs. I mean, these numbers are significant in the small country like Georgia. I'm not making any impression in Ukraine, I believe, with the numbers, but still. Number of employees, it's about 4,000, and market share about 28%. If we break down our book, the retail would be 40%, corporate would be 43%, SME 12%, and micro 7%. Now, we call it corporate, but if we take EU definition, majority of it would go under SME. And again, the Fitch rating and Moody's rating are at the country rating level. This is something about history. As I said, the bank was founded in 1992. Well, actually, it was founded from scratch with $500. This was the amount that you could found the bank back in early 90s. Now, probably so there are something that I can highlight here. It's last 2 years, out of 10 nominations in the country of best bank in the country, we won 9. So out of 10, we were named 9 times as the best bank in the country. These are some financial numbers. Growth rate 2011 45%, 2010 40%. 2012 it was 18%. Return on equity, it is 19%, 21%, and 14% respectively over these years. NPLs, they are very low. They are actually 1% of book. They would be the lowest probably among the scaled bank, not only in the country, but probably in the region. The market share growth, you can see that over these 3 years, we grew market share by about 5 to 6%. Cost to income, it's 56%, but it's going down this year. Well, I will like this slide. This basically shows how effective or efficient is Tbc Bank when we compare it to our competitors. And then you can see that portfolio per branch for Tbc Bank is about double or sometimes triple of that of our main competitor, and probably quintuple of other banks in the market. We have the best multi-channel capabilities in the country. Actually, last year we were named as having the best customer integrated bank in Central and Eastern Europe by Global Finance. When the research shows that we have the best customer experience. So those are the areas that how we differentiate ourselves in the local market. And finally, this is the last slide of my presentation. It's one more point showing how we are different from the other banks in the country. And then it's been kind of very important for Tbc Bank to pay special attention to social and corporate citizenship and responsibilities. And we do many projects in that term. The picture there basically shows that the ceremony of Tbc organized award Saba, which is the event when all the artists in Georgia present their work, and then the quite competitive jury nominates the best. Last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary among this during this event. So this is it. Thank you, and then I will be waiting for questions afterwards.